Welcome, baseball family, to this week's episode of the podcast. We're going to talk playoff runway, World Baseball Classic roster updates, and emoji tiers right now. 9+ Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together. Welcome back, baseball family, to another episode of the Baseball Together podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brig, and I got Mr. Bradman right here with me. How are you this fine day, Brad?
Good. Making it through the long weekend, bracing for the week ahead. How about you, Brig?
I am bracing as well. Got a little bit of a tummy problem going on today. Don't know what that's about, but here we are. It's very exciting.
Sounds very exciting.
Might have a mid-episode break here while I just chase this dragon. So we'll see what happens. All right, baseball family, we have a couple of things we want to talk about. If you were with us on Thursday night when I flew solo and went into some of the season changes for the scheduling that are coming in 2023, I kind of gave you a little bit of an idea of what to expect, how every team is going to play each other coming up. And there's a bunch of big changes to how many games will be played against each team, what's interdivision, what won't be in the division, etc. However, there are some updates that we have, and I wasn't able to get into on Thursday. And Brad, will you pull up the overlay and let's talk about these? A couple things, like we have our key dates decided, right? The key dates are going to be Thursday, March 30th will be opening day. That's exciting. That's not as far away as it has been sometimes.
Well, especially this year with the lockout, it was so late.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be, that's awesome.
Obviously, April 15th will be Jackie Robinson Day. That's standard. Lou Gehrig Day, as of the last couple of years, will be June 2nd. It's one of my favorite baseball holidays. MLB starts their World Tour June 24 and 25, where they will play in London. That will be the Cardinals and the Cubs traveling to London. And then we've got the All-Star Game in Seattle this year, July 11th.
Yes.
Yeah, Brad's pumped about that. Are you going to go? Are you going to try to go?
I don't know. It's it's going to be so tough. Between that and the World Baseball Classic, I might have to make a decision. I think the decision is going to be the World Baseball Classic just because it'll be easier logistically to get to.
And it doesn't happen every year.
Right. Exactly.
The All-Star Game happens every year. Anyway.
Not in Seattle every year, but anyway.
No, that's correct, yeah. Sunday, August 20th will be the Little League Classic. Roberto Clemente Day. Yeah, right. They decided to tell us at all, not just this far in advance. We will celebrate Roberto Clemente September 15th, and game 162, the final game of the season, will be October 1st. For those of you that didn't listen in, Brad, will you give us some of these highlights off to the left-hand side here in yellow and tell us what we can expect to change?
Yes, so it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a balanced schedule. We'll play everybody. Is going to be a great way to go. So it kind of breaks down 52 division games, 6 total intra-league games, which means that the American League team is going to play 64 games against American League teams, but they'll also play 46 total interleague games. So the American League and National League teams will play 46 total games that way. All 30 clubs will play on opening day, which is Thursday, March 30th. They'll also play on Jackie Robinson on April 15th. Jackie Robinson Day on April 15th, Lou Gehrig Day on June 2nd, July 4th, Roberto Clemente on September 15th, and game 162 on October 1st. That is to help with playoff pushes so teams don't sit their stars. So your entire year, next year is like all set up. I already know when the Mariners are going to be in Phoenix this next year. So I'm making plans. Right. Correction. I've made plans, actually.
Plans have been made. The Rolodex has been accessed. The red ink is on the page.
Exactly right. Yes. So
very cool. I know you're really excited about the balanced schedule.
I am. I think it's a big deal because, I mean, I understand that you've got to play more division games. That's just the way it works. But it helps to balance out like teams in the AL Central and the NL Central, right? The Central divisions for the last few years have been weaker than the coastal divisions, and it's kind of been rotten for those coastal divisions to beat up on each other, right? But I don't know. I feel like it's gonna help the standings, right? Is how I feel it's gonna play out. I don't know.
Interesting.
I get bugged by it though. I get bugged by having to get beat up by the Astros all the time, and then the AL Central is like they're just bad. It's like get some more of those games in the schedule so we can pad that schedule a little bit, right?
And even things out. Yeah, even things out. No, I think that is the benefit overall. I think having stars coast to coast and everybody getting to see everybody basically is going to be a good thing for like the fan base, which is what I care about anyway. So honestly, that's where I see it. I see some drawbacks, but like I said on the Thursday Night Live, we're going to see some major benefits in terms of rivalries developing. And I think that's one of the coolest things. Like they're going to open it up with San Francisco Giants are going to go to play in the Bronx for the first time since like 2016. And that's like one of the oldest rivalries in the history of baseball is the Giants and Yankees. Now they almost never play each other now. So they're going to revitalize that. And I think that's a really cool opportunity.
It is. It is. The one drawback that I see, like the biggest one, is travel. It's going to be brutal on everybody. But as a Mariners fan, I'm like, yes, finally.
Everybody suffers.
Exactly. Everybody has to make that trip. But anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it'll help level things. Go ahead.
Let's move on to Dallas Keuchal because he's joined Robbie Cano, having been DFA'd again for the third time this season. This time the Rangers said, "Okay, thank you for your time. Don't come back. No soup for you." And here we are. We just I just dated myself anyway. What do you think? What do you think of Keuchal? What's happening here?
It could be that he's washed. I mean, with the Rangers, he pitched 10 innings.
Yeah.
He had 2 starts. It
was like 2 or 3. Yeah.
But he struck out 7. He walked 4. He gave up a home run. He gave up 14 runs, though. I think that is the problem. Not the home runs, not the walks. The problem is the runs, as you know, Brig. And so...
that was a great callback. Just really
Thank you.
Good.
So yeah, I think that he very well could be done. Like this could be the end of it for Keuchel. I mean, I thought that after Arizona DFA'd him, though.
You did. Yeah, you did.
I think so. I mean, somebody might pick him up, bring him in on a minor league contract in the spring, and we'll see what happens there. But I doubt he's on a big league roster again.
You mean ever again?
Right.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say something I could disagree with, but you didn't. And so there we are. Very excited. I think part of this is payroll, but I think part of it is he's washed and it's over. So
he could end up. He's only 34. He could still go play in Japan.
Right. Japan or Taiwan or Venezuela or anywhere or really.
Korea. Yeah.
Yeah, Korea. That'd be cool. Let's talk about Albert Pujols for a minute. Albert Pujols, the machine himself, has now successfully eclipsed Barry Bonds at having homered off of 650 different pitchers. It's very exciting for the MLB historians who don't want to talk about Barry Bonds ever again. This is one step closer. That's really exciting for them. It's also a super funky, unique stat that I really like, that he's homered off of 650 unique pitchers over what has been an amazing career. So congratulations on that. However, as of right now, he has 695 career home runs. That's amazing. He's 5 away from reaching the 700 club, and that's where we all want him to be. I don't care what you're a fan of. If you're a fan of baseball, you should be rooting for Albert Pujols to hit 5 more home runs. You just should.
You should. You're right. So do you think he'll get it, Brig?
Yeah.
5 home runs in a month?
Yeah. Do you?
I think he will too. I actually saw something over the weekend where somebody, it was either on the radio when I was driving with my dad last weekend, or I read something online. I can't remember which one it was, but people were saying like teams are throwing throwing a bunch of rookies out there and letting them lob stuff up to Pujols, or guys are just grooving stuff for him so that he can progress in the record books.
I've heard that.
I've also heard that. Interesting take.
I wanted to ask you about that because what I heard was a little more nefarious, that Major League Baseball was allowing him to bend some of these rules, or maybe offered him a cork bat or any number of things in order to make sure he does. I don't see that being the reality, but again, I'm holding to the ideal that I don't want it to be the reality. But I don't think so. If it's not systemic from a league perspective, then I think it could be systemic socially, like you're saying. I don't see that being outside the realm of possibility at all.
Yeah, that they want this guy who's been clean his entire career to move up in the record books. And the other thing I heard was that Major League Baseball is using juiced baseballs in Cardinals games.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And I think that is actually likely, because we've heard guys talk about how primetime games, the baseball feels a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, I mean, that there's no transaction required with Albert Pujols that would potentially indict him or violate his integrity. He doesn't put him in a compromised position at all to just supply the game with a different baseball. If you asked him to have a corked bat, or if you gave him an opportunity to, bend the rules with a substance or who knows what, as we have seen and heard being bandied around online, the reason I dispel those, and I want to dispel those thoughts and conspiracy theories, is because those require a transactional relationship with the man himself. And I don't think he's willing to put himself in that position. I don't think the league is going to put him in a position to have to make that decision. But supplying the team or the games, the umpires with, these balls that are maybe a little hot, that I can see. And teams deciding to groove him a couple here and there, that I can see. Because it in no way indicts him. None.
Right. Exactly.
He's just going to go up there and swing it.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right with that, because the risk of him swinging a corked bat is so high, not only for him, but for the game of baseball itself. Because Sammy Sosa broke one corked bat and it was over. Yep. Nobody believed that he hit a legitimate home run in his entire career. And it went, and he fed the line like, oh, it's a batting practice bat. And I got confused. Even if it was, everybody's like, no, that's not how that works. That doesn't happen.
And Tatis is in the same spot right now. Fernando Tatis Jr. is now, we're all sitting there wondering like, oh, geez, man, maybe all of the things we thought about you were fabricated.
Yeah. Yep.
There's just no word. It's not worth the risk.
Did you see the picture of Tatis the other day? Somebody showed it. Had like a side-by-side image. One was Tatis as a rookie, and one was him during spring training this last year. So the one of his rookie season, I think he was wearing a cutoff t-shirt, just like a regular like cutoff t-shirt. And then the one from spring training this year was like almost like a halter top, like the way that it was cut. It was cut around the neck and then like down. Like across his chest and everything, kind of like a raglan sleeve. Yeah. And he was way bigger in the second picture than he was in the first. I was like, oh yeah, there it is. That'll do it.
Well, that's not helping. Now, Photoshop goes a long way. And for those of you that know Victoria's Secret, like I do, you know that a lot can happen there. Anyway, we're excited about Albert Pujols. Baseball family, we want to know what you think about these conspiracy theories. Are we off base here? Do you think his bat is corked? Do you think he's in cahoots with the league to make sure that it all stays under wraps and he gets the record and we all go about our merry way thinking it's all done cleanly? Or do you think that that this is a social decision based on pitchers and managers and pitching coaches and his buddies around the league making it happen for him? Or is this pure? Is this 100% they're just doing their job, he's just doing his job, and he's making it happen? Some of the numbers are interesting, though. Since the break, things have spiked for him, and that's where all these conspiracy theories come from. So they're not all the way baseless. Something may be going on. That's what I think is important to say that.
I will say this. This is something I feel like is important to consider with this, is that I don't think you necessarily need a corked bat, juice baseballs, or guys grooving to him, given his schedule for the rest of the season. Nats, Pirates, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, and then you've got San Diego, LA, and then you've got the Brewers again. But then he finishes out the season with 6 games against the Pirates. He might hit 6 home runs in those 2 series.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he doesn't exactly have a juggernaut of a schedule or gauntlet of a schedule coming up. So he could very well hit 10 home runs between now and the end of the season without any help.
He could. I wouldn't be surprised. I also wouldn't be surprised if he gets to 700 and they bench him and he gets a rest up for October. I wouldn't be surprised by that either.
Wouldn't be surprised either.
We'll see what happens. Let's move on. The Pittsburgh Pirates have decided that they need a Hall of Fame for their organization, something that most teams already have, and most teams have already for, I don't know, since Abe Lincoln was president. And Pittsburgh decided to show up and do the same things. Very exciting for them. They have lots of I'll stop beating it up. I was going to make more jokes, but I won't.
They've been around for 135 years, Brig. Why don't they have a Hall of Fame? What?
I don't know.
What are they doing?
I don't know.
Oh, we just didn't get to it.
It's stupid.
Especially with some of these. So I'm sorry, but like
with
some of these guys who they inducted into the Hall of Fame, this is their inaugural class. And it's like, how do you not have a Hall of Fame with some of these guys? So they inducted 19 members into this class. Yeah. Some of the notables, you got Bill Mazeroski, a guy named Roberto Clemente, Willie Stargell.
What?
Right?
We only celebrate his birthday every year. What?
Honus Wagner, who was on one of the most famous baseball cards in the history of the world. And then they went ahead. They brought in some Negro League stars: Oscar Charleston, Josh Gibson, and Buck Leonard. That's only a few.
The Josh Gibson.
I apologize. But they had 19 guys. They're like, let's get around to that.
Well, can you blame them for doing it this season? Like they need it.
You gotta have something.
They needed something. They've
needed something to sell tickets to in the last 10 years.
I know. Yeah, and it makes me wonder, like, if they don't have a team Hall of Fame, do they have the team, like, museum? Like every other ballpark has a team museum.
Right.
And you think with that beautiful park they have, they'd already have a space set up for that, and they would have thought about that when they built the park. Who knows, Brad? But this is an astonishing fact that they have. This is their inaugural Hall of Fame season for the franchise
in September. They didn't even do it in April.
Right, and celebrate each
eliminated from the playoffs.
They should. You're right. They shouldn't even think about that. They should have done it in April, and they should have taken all 19 of those people and mathematically separated them between all the home games and done a series or a home game celebration with that person's family and their blah blah blah, the history and a little tribute video. Stupid. This is ridiculous.
Unreal.
Now I'm more upset than I was before.
Brig, I screenshotted this and went back and read the headline several times so I wouldn't forget about it, and B, just to make sure I was reading it correctly. Then, like, this is their first Hall of Fame class. That means they didn't have one before this weekend. Like,
I know.
Oh boy.
Are there now? I want to know who else doesn't have a Hall of Fame. Like, do the Mariners?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
they do.
Ichiro was inducted into the Hall of Fame along with
That's right. That's right. And they've been around for 7 years, and they've never made it to the playoffs. Maybe up against Pittsburgh. Sorry, I had to needle you a little bit, but
that's fine. That's fine.
But
it's all ending this
comparatively,
year.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. I wonder if the A's don't have a Hall of Fame.
Even with Ricky Henderson and Raleigh Fingers and
no, they do. I'm just teasing about all.
I'm
the
like,
the A's
what?
But I was like, there's another opportunity for them to cut costs.
Yeah,
but it's also an opportunity for them to make money by
we
having
used
Hall
to
of
have
Fame
a
Day.
Hall of Fame, but it was too expensive. So
maintaining all those plaques, all that memorabilia,
all those Philadelphia athletics teams, we just don't care anymore. They were only like the dynastic best team in baseball for, I don't know, 15 years.
We'll name the field Ricky Henderson Field and call it good. That's it. Game over. That's the end of it.
He's the only one that matters. All right, let's move on. Seattle swept Cleveland. This is huge because Seattle has been on a tear. and Cleveland is playing very well. So for Seattle to sweep Cleveland, I think it bodes well for them and their playoff prospects this year coming into the playoffs. Their status in the wild card race is further, I'm not going to say cemented, but it's in a much better place than it has been ever.
It is. It's in a great spot right now.
Yeah. I think they're officially, as of right this minute, they're in the number 2 spot, 1/2 game above the 0 line, the break-even point, which is held by Toronto, and they're wedged between Toronto and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and Toronto swept a doubleheader today, and that was a big deal for them, especially since the Mariners lost to the White Sox today. But I'm not going to hold that against the Mariners losing because they won 7 in a row. They won 6 out of 7 over the course of like a week against the Guardians.
Yeah,
and so yesterday on Sunday they had the 4.5-hour rain delay. Game took like 8 hours to finish, and then they got to hop on a plane and play an afternoon game today. I'm surprised they didn't bump it. It's Monday.
Rough.
Play night game.
Play night game. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They were on the ground for like 12 hours by the time the game started. And it came down to the last out because they had the winning run on second base, tying run on third, and ended up coming up short. But I was kind of like, it's fine. It's fine. The difference in the game was a play Mitch Haniger tried to make in the outfield at the wall. Hit the glove, went over the fence. Oh my gosh! It's like,
it was really a good, solid effort.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I thought overall the Mariners had a good effort today, despite everything yesterday, and I am not at all concerned about the home stretch, especially given the schedule. Got the Braves later this week.
Yeah,
be a good time, but other than that, not a big deal going forward.
Is it in Atlanta or is it in Seattle?
No, it's in Seattle.
That's what I thought. That's awesome. That'll be a great series to watch, actually.
It will be. It's going to be a really good litmus test for the Mariners, too, to see exactly where they are against a team with elite pitching and just
great
next-level offense, too.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Good. Cool. Aaron Judge launches home run number 54. That puts him currently on pace for 64 total on the season. Again, magic number is, what are we at? 8. It's the magic number to reach 62. That's 8, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, I'm thrilled, but he's literally carrying the entire team on his back right now. There's a meme going on right now about he missed batting practice because he had to go to the emergency chiropractor for carrying a collective 3,000 pounds of the team's weight on his back for the last 15 days or whatever.
I thought that was so funny. And it's not wrong either.
No,
he absolutely
the entire lineup is batting in the below the Mendoza line collectively or right at it, and then he's killing it. He's the only one doing anything at the plate right now, and it's bizarre.
So speaking of bizarre, when did Andrew Benintendi get hurt? Because he's having wrist surgery, right?
2 days ago. Yeah, it was 2 days ago. It was like
the Yankees won yesterday and won Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's a great thing.
They
also called up a couple of prospects.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, big time prospects.
But is there a chance Bendy's good in the club?
Of course there is.
I mean, because this could just straight up just be coincidence, right? They go and they lose all these games after the trade deadline, whatever. Things happen, right?
Yeah.
Teams have cold spells, have bad months here and there after being incredibly hot at the beginning of the season. Things leveled out, the law of averages and everything. But at the same time, though, things went south when Benintendi was brought in, and now suddenly things are looking up now that he's got to have surgery.
I got to give it more than a couple of games, but it's interesting. And it's interesting because why did we all sit and think, oh, Joey Gallo was the towel waiver, but we didn't even stop to consider that Benintendi could have been a problem. That's interesting, Brad.
And like you said, it's only 2 games because the Yankees are not going to let themselves get swept by the Rays.
Nope.
Right?
No.
That's just not something that they're going to let happen.
Yeah,
and then this is a game against the Twins. The Twins have been up and down, and you catch the Twins on a bad day, and you're gonna anybody can beat them.
Anybody, but Yeah.
I think it's something to pay close attention to over the next week.
That's really cool. That's
See
a
how
good
things go.
That's a shot in the arm for my happiness because I needed it really bad. And I didn't know that
I'm
it would
glad.
come from you, Brad. So thank you.
One of the most unexpected places. Positivity for a Yankee fan.
You blackjack, Brad, you. Let's move on to happier news. Okay. Paul Goldschmidt, affectionately known as Goldie. Goldie is in the Triple Crown race. And for those of you that don't know what a Triple Crown is, it means that he is going to lead the league in batting average, home runs, and runs batted in, RBIs or ribbies, if you're not into if you're into the whole brevity thing. Anyway, his average right now is 332. That puts him first place in the National League. Freddie Freeman and Jeff McNeil are the only two anywhere near a threat to that. Freddie Freeman's at 324, Jeff McNeil 317. All three of which are outstanding ball players, and they're doing really well.
McNeil's having an
obviously
unreal year.
I know. Yeah, he really is. Home runs, Goldie has 33 total. That puts him number 2 behind Schwarb's. Kyle Schwarber has 36. And RBIs are at 105. That's tied in the league with Pete Alonso at first place. They both have 105. So it's interesting because, well, he could pull in more RBIs than Pete Alonso.
He could.
He could.
Yeah.
I think that the most secure part of this is his average. I think that's the one that
Right. Yeah.
he'll hold the lead there. I don't think that's a problem. And I think the home runs are the only issue.
They could be, but like we talked about before with Albert Pujols,
With the
Cardinals schedule is pretty favorable as far as opposing pitching goes. So he could hit a whole bunch in September.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm looking right now at the Phillies to see what I can find out about their schedule the rest of the way, because that's the other thing with the Phillies too, is they have to win. So they just have to play. They just have to play to win. And they have Miami, Washington, Miami again, and then Atlanta, Toronto, 4 against Atlanta, Cubs, Nats, and then end the season against Houston. So Schwarber could hit a bunch this season, or the end of the season as well.
But he's going to play Atlanta and Houston.
Right. And Toronto.
That's interesting.
Only 2 games against Toronto, though.
Yeah, 7 and when they're on, they're good.
3 against Houston.
Bad.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so this really could be – this is within reach for Goldie. I know he's capable, but Schwarber might have to slump a little bit on the way to making this a reality. That'll be interesting to see what happens.
Which is absolutely possible given the fact that he's leading the NL with only quote unquote 36 home runs.
Right. Yeah.
Because of where the American League is, I say only.
At 54.
Yeah,
it's astounding. Exactly. It's literally astounding.
I think he could get it though.
I think so. Do you want him to get it? Is this a Triple Crown thing a big deal for you?
I think it would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome, because I actually saw something the other day. Jerry DiPoto had a conversation with Julio Rodriguez after he signed his extension, and Julio says that he likes to prove people wrong.
Yeah.
And
he wants to break baseball or whatever.
Yeah, one of the things was that he said people told him he couldn't play center field at the big league level, and DiPoto was like, I know you can. I've seen you do it. He's like, one of something I don't think you can do, and that's win a Triple Crown. He's like, all right, it's on. So I'm kind of like, it'd be cool to see guys get the Triple Crown, because I wonder how many of them are actually going for it, because I know Julio's going to be gunning for it the next few years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think it would be really cool if Paul Goldschmidt goes up there and goes yard, or tries to go yard every single time he gets up there and hits a few doubles along his batting average and gets the Triple Crown. I think it'd be cool.
So, baseball family, the reason the Triple Crown is even worth discussing, obviously it's neat to see guys be that successful, but a quick count that I just conducted here shows that there have only been 27 offensive Triple Crown winners in the history of Major League Baseball. There is a pitching Triple Crown, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to just stick with the offense today. And some of the names on this list are going to put Goldie in really good company. The last time somebody won the Triple Crown was 2012, and that was Miguel Cabrera. Obviously, he played for Detroit. He did that with 330 average of 330, 44 home runs, and 139 RBIs. Carl Yastrzemski, 1967 won the Triple Crown for Boston, batted .326, 44 home runs, 121 RBIs. And I'm not going to give you every detail, but I am going to read off the list because it's a short list. Ready? The remainder of the list, Brad, is Frank Robinson, Mickey Mantle, Ted Williams, that's twice, Ted Strong, Lenny Pearson, Joe Medwick, Josh Gibson, the Josh Gibson, by the way. My main man, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Chuck Klein, Willie Wells, Mule Suttles, Oscar Charleston, Rogers Hornsby, Oscar Charleston again, Heavy Johnson, Rogers Hornsby again, Oscar Charleston again, Heine Zimmerman, Ty Cobb, Nap Lajoie, thank you, and Tip O'Neill and Paul Hines. That's it. The first time it was 1878 was the first time it happened. Last time it happened was in 2012. Nice. So it's a big deal. Baseball family, pay attention to Paul Goldschmidt right now. And, maybe hope that Kyle Schwarber slows down a little bit because it's pretty cool.
I'm honestly of the opinion, though, that you should always be paying attention to Paul Goldschmidt.
Totally. And he's going to win the MVP this year anyway.
Yeah, he is.
There's no, I don't think there's any question about that.
Zero.
All right, let's move on. Wednesday, the Phillies beat the D-backs, which, is great for the Phillies fans, and it's bad for
They needed it. They definitely needed it.
They did, but the astonishing thing about this is that they did it 18-2. That's part one. Part two is they did it without hitting a single home run.
Fantastic.
Which is great for baseball, and it's great for Paul Goldschmidt. By the way,
because Schwarber could have easily hit 3 in that game for sure.
Absolutely.
But I saw something that said this is definitely the first time this has happened since 1901. Don't know the last time it's happened. It's incredible in a day and age when everybody's hitting home runs all the freaking time.
Every day.
Especially in a game where there are 20 runs scored.
Yeah.
They didn't hit any. Just going
small
station to station, small ball. Exactly.
Production
Put the ball
baseball.
in play.
Yep.
Put the ball in
Which
play.
is our favorite.
For it. Exactly.
It's our favorite.
I will say this, though, Brig. I don't know if I talked about this on Thursday, but I am reckless when it comes to my voice at baseball games. Yeah. And Gino Suarez hit a bomb on Saturday night when I was there, and it was gone. My voice was completely gone.
Yeah,
I yelled,
wrecked.
yeah, I did my Gino Suarez home run call, and I almost passed out, and B, I had no voice after.
You almost passed out? Yeah. I can see you standing and screaming, and the blood rushes to your head, and the blood rushes from your head because equal and opposite's a rule, and then boom, you go down. I
had to lean over and brace myself on the seat in front of me. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not 25 anymore. You gotta rail it in.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh, I love it. Okay, Brad, I'm gonna let you talk about this one.
Okay,
because
Angel Hernandez.
Yeah,
go ahead. All right.
Well,
Angel Hernandez has baseball for not being selected for certain postseason series, specifically the World Series. The World Series. He cited racial discrimination. But Major League Baseball officially came out in this last week and said, "No, Angel, it's because you miss crucial calls." And my thought was, no kidding. We all know that. And
right.
I just want to show this real quick. This is just from Sunday. Okay. It doesn't take very long to go back for having Angel Hernandez being the home plate umpire to be like, yeah, here are some missed calls. I think I made a joke on the VIP group. I was like, the lawyer drops a 3-inch binder on the table and says, "Your Honor, we'd like to cite last Tuesday's missed calls."
Exactly.
It's that blatant all the time. And it's unreal that the union still backs this guy. I know they have to, but still. So this was Sunday. Relatively speaking, I feel like it's not too bad. Overall consistency, 94%. Overall accuracy, 93%. His called strike accuracy was 87%. Average is 8. and his called ball accuracy was 97. The problem I have, though, Brig, is that, right, you can't really see it because my hand is behind it, but you can see about where my finger goes.
Yeah, the heat
There's
map.
this little
It's the heat map.
Yeah, in the heat map, there are 3 strikes called just outside the zone, and I can specifically remember at least that many balls called in that exact same spot. So the problem I have is that as hitters get into the box, they see, or even pitchers see they're getting that call, they pepper that spot.
Yeah.
But then they get a ball called. And like it happened, Brig, from one batter to the next, like consecutive batters. I saw it. Somebody got called out on strike 3 on that. And then the next guy gets called ball 2 on the exact same pitch, exact same spot. And I was like, you can't be that wildly inconsistent.
And momentarily, right? It's moment to moment.
Yeah, exactly. From moment to moment. And it's absolutely unreal. I can't figure it out. And I think I remember that number 1 there, top of the 7th, I believe is what that is. I was specifically being like, whoa, that's a bad call, but I'm going to take it because that went in the Mariners' favor.
Right.
And it's infuriating as a fan both ways, though.
Yeah. No, even if your team benefits from bad calls, you still, it's like, it doesn't feel good. Right.
No,
You'll take it. You have to take the win because you're excited about the chance of victory, but it doesn't feel, it feels icky to me. To me, it does.
It does. Yeah, it does feel icky. And I don't like it. And I've complained about the same thing for years in the NBA. That there's times it's just like, man, it's so ugly. And specifically with Angel Hernandez, it's really, really, really bad night in, night out. I can't believe
every time.
It. So he's not going to be in the World Series. Don't have to worry about that. Also, don't have to worry about Joe West being in the World Series either because he is retired. So hopefully we can get good umpires.
Who are you most angry at, Joe West or Angel Hernandez? Like if you took it in aggregate and just put it all together, Angel Hernandez retires right now. Who you got?
I would honestly say that I would be more. I think overall I was more upset at Joe West because he had the ego to go along with it. Like Angel Hernandez, I didn't even know he was behind the plate until I was kind of like, man, this is really bad, really consistently bad. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I almost like expected it from there. But with Joe West, you know he's behind the plate because he's going to be barking at both managers and staring guys down, you know? And I feel like that was the issue I had with it is like, we're not here to see you. We're here to see the players. That Joe West was more of the umpire show, and Angel Hernandez is just consistently bad. Everywhere.
Baseball family, if you have an opinion, we want to hear about it, but especially between those two. Maybe we should do a poll really quick on the Facebook group and ask everybody what they think.
We'll do it.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Okay, last thing before we take a break, the World Baseball Classic roster updates are in. This is where the roster stands at this point. I'm just going to read them off to you. We know some of these names, some are new. Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, Nolan Arenado, Tim Anderson, Trey Turner, Paul Goldschmidt, JT Realmuto, Will Smith, Kyle Tucker, Trevor Story, Cedric Mullins, and Polar Bear Pete Alonso. We also learned that Andy Pettit will be the pitching coach, and Ken Griffey Jr. will be the hitting coach.
Yes. Yeah, my first question with that was, do they sell jerseys for the coaches?
Right.
Because I would absolutely buy one yesterday.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. How could they not? My question though is not like it's good for baseball. It's good for the clubhouse. It's good to have the mentorship and all that yada, yada. What I want to know is though, is this an opportunity for guys like Andy Pettit and Ken Griffey Jr. to try their hand at coaching / managing and get a feel for what that's like and just see if maybe that's something they're interested in?
It could be. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr. is part of the ownership group now with the Seattle Mariners. I don't know that he would necessarily go in and coach anywhere, right? Like he's really, it seems like he's all in on that ambassador relationship that he has with baseball right now. And he's doing a really great job with it too. Like all over the place, just doing amazing stuff for kids and being an ambassador for the game. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody brought in Andy Pettit as a pitching coach, though.
For sure.
Especially if you've got a few lefties on that staff. Teach them that pickoff move.
That'd be worth its weight in gold just to teach a lefty the pickoff move.
It would be.
For real.
Oh, speaking of pitchers, real quick, did you see? This is the last thing I want to talk about before we go to break. Did you see Kevin Gausman got called for a balk finally? So he
No.
does this
Did it finally
thing.
happen?
It finally happened. So he does this thing, right, where he, for those of you who don't know, he has a runner on base and he's in the stretch like a normal pitcher, but he taps his left foot so much, and then he hardly comes to a stop or a pause at all before he throws the pitch, and an umpire finally called him for a balk. And I've been saying every time I watch that dude pitch, it's a freaking balk. Call the balk. They only called it one time though. They called it one time. That's all.
Yeah. Could be a watershed moment.
Called it. He thought they had called it before he even threw the pitch. And I was like, well, they might have, because you kind of broke and
do it every time. It's like a makeup call for the last 12 years.
Yeah. He's like, it was premeditated. They were planning on doing it. Like, yeah, probably because they knew you were going to do it. They knew you were going to balk. So interesting thing to keep an eye on the rest of the way to see if he continues to do that and how often they call him for a balk. Because I think he has the approach that they're not going to call it every time.
Yeah. Baseball family, before we take a break, last thing, don't forget you can jump on Chinook, Seedery.com for the best seeds ever. For those of you watching on YouTube, you'll see that we have branded our overlays. We are that emphatically supportive of Chinook Seedery and what they do and the powers that be, I guess, that bring the wonderful flavors to our faces. It's very exciting. I am an ardent Parmesan and pepper supporter. Brad likes all the other flavors somehow. And we're very excited to be able to bring them to you at a 10% off discount. You can use code BTPOD at ChinookSeedery.com for the best seeds ever. Stay tuned. We're going to get into our version of power rankings right after the break.
No matter which ballpark you're at, you want to rep your team. Now you can with 9+ Us. Welcome to the Big City Series. With every design available in your team's colors, you can fit in with the home crowd or stand out on the road. Either way, we have the colors you crave. Shop the Big City Series and find designs that rep your favorite baseball podcast, cheer from the cheap seats, and much more. Shop the Big City Series only at 9plusus.com.
The Not Another Sports Podcast is the home of sports talk for everyone. Every other week you can catch David and Jason as they talk about all things sports, from current events to classic moments and everything in between. You can find the Not Another Sports Podcast on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and more. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.
Welcome back, baseball family. It has been brought to my attention that I have been remanded. Is that the right word? I have been enjoined, perhaps is the right word, to issue a correction. When I was talking about Chinook before we took our break, Chinook Seeds, I said Brad really likes the other flavors. Then I added the word somehow. And it has been brought to my attention that may have been construed as me not liking those other flavors, which is the furthest thing from the truth. And there you have it. I actually love all the flavors. I just love Parm and Pep. It's my favorite.
And you know what? The feedback I get from like so many people is that Parm and Pep is like the creme de la creme. That it is so good
for me. Yeah. One might call it the cat's meow.
Oh, there you go. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Brad, tell us about fantasy.
Okay. Fantasy baseball, that is. So this last week was the final week of the regular season. So my team, the Manitoba Man Clans, went up against Jason's team, the Not Another Fantasy team. He won 461 to 334. My top scorer was Matt Olson with a whopping 52 points. Not a good week for me in fantasy baseball. His top scorer was Tommy Edman with the Cardinals. Scored 98 points, 3 home runs, 11 for 25 on the week. Pretty good week. Ryan Mountcastle had 87. It took his fifth guy was the first guy I outscored, Austin Riley. Unreal. Terrible week for me. Wow. I was eliminated from playoff contention. I guess I was eliminated from advancing to the playoffs with that loss. Brig, also known as Brig and Brad, was up against Torrey, Springfield Nuclear. Brig, you won 556 to 457. Your high score was Christian Walker with the D-backs, 97 points. Torrey has just been reaping the rewards of Paul Goldschmidt in this MVP season.
It's true.
He was his high score with 90 points, but then he had Xander Bogaerts with 73. You had Ty France with 94. Ty France is back, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He's slumping a little bit, and that dude is back.
He's the most back.
Like,
yeah,
absolutely. And I couldn't have come at a better time. And then we've got Zip with the Springfield Isotopes, and then Denise Grace Under Fire. She won that one 342 to 214. Zip's high score was Jose Altuve with 53. Denise had Frederick Freeman with 76 points, and then Marcus Semien had 54. And then our final matchup was Big League Chupacabras. That's Jewel over the Harrisburg Charlies. That's John's team, 384 to 360. John's high score was Will Smith with 70 points, and Jewel's high score was Cal Raleigh with 64. Cal Raleigh also had an outstanding week last week, by the way. On that road trip, his OPS, that's the only thing I remember off the top of my head, was like 1.52 or something like that last week. He was out of his mind. But that's it for the regular season. Now we've gotten into the playoff matchups. So, Brig, you and I have both been eliminated from the playoffs. We are playing each other this week in the consolation ladder.
What?
That's why we still have a matchup, because we're in the consolation
ladder. After I earned 555 points,
only to be eliminated from the playoffs. You and I finished 10-10, and then we had Zip and Tori were both eliminated. Zip was 3-17. Tori was 9-11. This week we have. I'm a little upset about the way that the bracket auto populated is that it didn't have like our it didn't go by divisions, because you've got John against Jewel. That doesn't make any sense as far as ALNL divisions, and then you've got Jason against Denise, which I guess kind of makes sense. But anyway, so John was 10-10. Apparently he had tiebreakers over us, over you and I. Jewel is the number 1 seed at 14-6, and then you've got Jason going against Denise. Jason's 11-9. Denise is 13-7. So we will continue to update, because each round goes for 2 weeks. So the last week in the season, we will have our winner, who we will crown on this show, this very show, as we talk about playoffs. Yep, the big show.
The big show.
So there we go. There's our fantasy baseball update. Brig and I are officially eliminated.
Way to go, us! Also, thanks for not blowing me out of the water, because I didn't know how to make trades and like change my roster for like 6 weeks or something like that.
Well, so Jason suggested to me, he's like, he came up with the idea. I'll give credit where it's due. It was either Jason or Jewel, maybe both of them, who said that we should do a fantasy league. I was like, well, okay, I've done fantasy baseball one time, and it was a rotisserie, and it was a terrible experience. You know how they say you can't win the division in April, but you can sure lose it? Yeah. I was basically eliminated from everything by like the middle of May in this rotisserie league, and I was like, this is stupid. I'm done. So I haven't done fantasy baseball since then. But head-to-head is a lot more fun because you're still in it. So we're going to change some rules next year and change some settings and things like that, because we learned a few lessons along the way. But that's what these tests are for. So, Brig, you want to take us into our emoji tiers?
I absolutely will. Baseball family, for those of you who may be new to the show, our emoji tiers are Brad and I's version of power rankings. Instead of going 1 to 30, we really like to make sure they get categorized. We do that with a little system Brad devised called emoji tiers, where we get your fan favorite emojis and we assign teams to put them in categories. Now, typically through the remainder of the season, we have had specific numbers, specific slots that are able to be filled. For instance, the diamond category wasn't able to be more than 3 teams, then 8 teams in successive categories until you get down to poop, which also had 3. But we have since changed that as we've gotten into August and September. And so you'll see that reflected this month as we get into our emoji tiers. Brad, I want you to tell us who you have in your diamond category.
Okay, I have the Mets, Dodgers, and Astros. Those are the 3 best teams in baseball right now. I feel like your World Series winner is going to come out of one of those. The only exception is if the Astros hit a roadblock in the division series. If those teams comes out of the wild card, they get a bad matchup, which could happen, could very well happen, and they end up getting eliminated in the division series. If not, they're like, I don't there's hands down 2 best teams in the league.
Yeah. Incidentally, this is my division, or my diamond division as well. This is exactly, I have the same teams. I feel exactly the same way. So we can just move right along from that. The next one down is the heart emoji tier. These are teams we're excited about, and for one reason or another, they're not quite suitable for the diamond, but they also don't belong any farther down. Brad, go ahead. Here's yours.
Okay, so I've got the Brewers, Braves, Cardinals, Mariners, Padres, Phillies, Rays, Blue Jays, Yankees in my heart tier. Now, there are a few teams I feel like I have to justify here. First off is the Yankees. I feel like they're just a little bit high in the heart, but I couldn't put them down in the question mark because I still feel like they're a very good team. Because the teams I put in the question mark, I was kind of like, I don't know who these teams are. I don't know what they're going to be going for in the rest of the season. But I think these are still a really good team. They're still a force to be reckoned with. And if they get the right matchups, playoffs, they could end up in the World Series, especially if they start clicking on all cylinders again. The team that we've seen them play as this year is incredibly dangerous, and they could show up any day without notice. And I feel like,
Yeah, right.
maybe that's being optimistic, but at the same time, though, you never know when that's going to happen. Another one is the Phillies. The Phillies top to bottom, I feel like they've had a really good roster all year. They've been underachieving. Obviously that bullpen is a problem, but offensively they're a really, really good team.
Yeah.
That once if they click, same thing with the Yankees. If the Phillies click, they're going to be a problem for some teams. The rest of the season and in the playoffs. So those are the two teams I feel like I have to justify why I put them in the heart. But other than that, I feel like everybody's pretty cut and dry. Maybe the Blue Jays just because they're so up and down, but I didn't feel like they really belonged in the question mark today. Maybe tomorrow they do. I don't know.
That makes sense. Yeah, exactly. And that it changes that quickly right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what
my
do you have,
heart,
Brig?
my heart's very similar. I've got Brewers, Braves, Cardinals, Mariners, Padres, Orioles, Rays, and Cleveland's baseball team. So a couple of things I want to justify here. First, I just need to take a moment to congratulate Seattle and all their fans because this has been just unreal. And I am very excited about it for them, even though I took, 5 pies in the face this weekend because I charged myself interest on the bet because it took me so long to get to it. I decided to charge myself interest. Instead of 1 pie in the face, I took 5.
Fantastic.
I also had 5 little kids to appease, so they all got a chance. It was very nice. But then the Baltimore, I'm starting to fall in love with Baltimore a little bit. And I know it's the swan song. Everybody loves the underdog, and I'm certainly falling victim to that. But it's not without empirical data to back it up. Adley Rutschman, let's just take him for example. He had 5 hits tonight. He had 5 hits tonight. He had 6 putouts tonight, obviously, because he's behind the plate.
Was that 5 hits in one? Because they had a doubleheader today. Was that 5 hits over the doubleheader?
Over the course of the doubleheader today, he had 5 hits.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Like he's the real deal. He didn't stutter step. He hasn't had any issues since he showed up, and now he's starting to really improve this team. Almost, not I don't want to say by himself because now they've got Gunnar up, and Gunnar is kicking butt too. So it's super exciting to watch them. But Adley Rutschman has a 3.6 WAR just in his 80 games or whatever he's played. And that leads Major League Baseball, Brad.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world? It's insane. And so that's why I put him up here. Come at me if you got a problem with this.
I like it.
Brad, you ready for your question mark?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So I have the Guardian, singular, apparently. The White Sox.
It's all part of that identity crisis.
It is. The Orioles and the Twins. And these are the fringe playoff teams, right? Like the White Sox, Guardians, and Twins. They're in that AL Central race. None of them are going to make the wild card. No matter what happens, I don't see any of them making the second place team in the Central making the wild card. The Orioles, they're a good team, but at the same time, they feel kind of stagnant. I'm looking at their schedule from the last month, and they would like win 2, lose 2, win 2, lose 2, win 3, lose 2, and like they just won 4 out of their last 5 despite losing on Sunday, and then they got swept in this doubleheader today. So it's like, what do we expect? What can we expect from the Orioles? They're just like right on the outside looking in. I would love for them to get in, right? I want so badly for the Orioles to get in and be the third wild card team, be the 6th team in the playoffs. But I don't know if they're going to get over the hump this year. They might be this year's Mariners from last year, right?
Yeah.
Come up just short by like an hour, be in the hunt and the last hour of the season, and then just barely miss out. And then next year there'll be a problem. Next year they're going to give a lot of people headaches, and they'll be in the wild card, because like you said, Adley Rutschman is a difference maker on that team, and he's going to continue to make a difference for them going forward.
Here's the other thing I'm going to say about Baltimore is that we began the season laughing at them, and I feel like that carried forward for a very long time.
Big time.
Like a really, really long time. They were just terrible. And so now they went from losing every single game to now they're winning half.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, it's one of those crazy things, though. Like, I think Jewel and I talked about this last week on the Seattle podcast, that imagine if the Mariners had not had that terrible stretch. Imagine if the Orioles had not had that terrible stretch at the beginning of the season, where they would be. They'd be right up there with the Yankees and the Rays.
Yeah, they would.
They'd be shooting for the division, not the wild card.
Yes, that's 100%. Which is going to bring me right to my question mark, because that's where I put the Yankees right now. Honestly, I am concerned. I am deeply concerned. And we talked about it earlier about Aaron Judge carrying everybody and all the terrible batting averages that are going around. The pitching is just really sputtering. And I know it has a lot to do with injuries. I can appreciate that. And some of those guys are coming back into the field, and they're going to be able to play, these last few weeks. But, I mean, we have, 30 games left?
Less than that.
Maybe less. It's got to be 27, 20. Anyway, it's not enough.
I think sounds right.
It's not enough to be comfortable. Even though they're at 81 wins, even though they're at least right now going to take that first round bye. I don't know. I'm not comfortable. And I'm not comfortable saying right now that they could stand a chance against any of the teams that come through and meet them at that second tier of the playoffs. Like, I just don't feel good about it. I don't care who it is. And that's a problem for me. But if it's Houston, it's over.
Yeah. So the Yankees going into today had a 5-game lead on the Rays, 5.5 on the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Not insurmountable with what is left the rest of the season. And I maintain, I still feel like the Yankees could click tomorrow and then just rip their way through the rest of the season.
100%.
Run away with the division and I don't think they'll get back that first round bye, but they could definitely compete for it if things get moving again. But 4-6 in your last 10 is not going to cut it.
Nope, it's not. But what is just as likely is that they continue to just crumble.
It's true.
Like, they could turn it all on and fire on all cylinders, or this is it. And it could go either way. I don't know. That's why I have them in the question mark. I also have the Phillies, Blue Jays, and Twins in there. Brad, you covered why on all of these. I don't know what I'm going to get out of the Phillies every day, Blue Jays every day, and the Twins, I don't know. I think they're a headache only for Cleveland, but that's only because of the situation in the Central. Other than that, I don't think they're a threat to anyone else.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
Okay, you ready to move on to your thumbs down?
Yep, let's do thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Okay, I have the Angels, Red Sox, Diamondbacks, Rockies, Rangers, Cubs. Did badly to put the Angels in the poop tier again, but they've actually been pretty decent lately. Late, right? It doesn't matter, but at the same time, they've been winning some games. Did you see that picture that came out last week with Ohtani and Trout giving a high five at home plate with the flames in the background?
Yeah.
Joel texted that, and he's like, "Man, this picture's worth 70 wins." I said, "Yeah, too bad it's really only worth 56." Like, be a way better team. And I know Mike Trout missed a bunch of time, even without. Like, that team should be way, way, way better.
They should.
They have been. And they're finally winning some games recently. Ohtani's just absolutely out of his mind. I don't know how you don't give that guy the MVP every year.
He's got 10 wins and 30 home runs this season alone.
Literally the most valuable player in the league.
Yeah.
Like, his WAR is probably like 6. He's got to be worth at least 10 to 15 wins.
I'm looking right now.
But that's that's the difference for me with the Angels and the thumbs down to the poop emoji. The Rockies and Rangers, not good teams, but I don't think they're that bad. Same thing with the Giants and Cubs, is that those teams could come out and win any day. The Red Sox have been playing better lately, and the Diamondbacks are just kind of up and down. They're not a terrible team, but they're not good. And they're just up and down. Like, they came back and they beat the Phillies the day before they lost 18-2.
Yeah,
and anybody can lose 18-2. I don't care how good or bad you are. Anybody can lose like that. So, so I don't know. The Diamondbacks are just one of those teams that could win any day. But that's my thumbs down. Let's go to your thumbs down, Brig.
First, Shohei Ohtani, 7.6 WAR so far this season. Jeez. That's where he's at. It's insane. It's just ridiculous. All right. My thumbs down, we've got Miami. We've got the White Sox, the D-backs, same reasons you mentioned. Rockies, Rangers, Giants. I don't feel like I have to justify these at all. This is my disappointment tier.
That's what we do next year, is we have like a disappointed dad.
Yeah,
the disappointed dad tier.
That's how it feels, right? They're like, I forgot who Chris Bryant is at this point, right? And
seriously,
he was the entire payroll of the Rockies. And then Miami, the only thing they have really, really going for them is the whisper of Jazz Chisholm and then Sandy Alcantara. That's it. So White Sox have Dylan Cease. Let's take a minute and talk about Dylan Cease. Cease is amazing. That dude is not just good, he is fantastic. He is an ace. And we've got to give him the credit he's due. They've either got to build a team around him that can get him some run support, or he needs to move. And I don't know where he is in his contract. I haven't looked it up, but he needs more for his talent. He just does. He deserves it. So that's where we are.
Lance Lynn pitched really well today against the Mariners.
Great.
But the problem is that Lance Lynn has been wildly inconsistent this year.
Yeah, right. One good game, that's fine. But Dylan Cease is good every time.
It's the power of the stash.
It must be, because it's a thing.
So he is going to be a free agent in 2026. He's eligible for arbitration next year after this.
Okay.
So yeah, they've got him for a while.
That's a lot longer than I was hoping for him.
Or if things get really bad, that is a great trade piece.
An amazing trade
that much
chip.
Club control plus the way he pitches.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I can name a couple of teams that would pick him up in a heartbeat. That's amazing. Brad, let's move into your poop category because this is really exciting. Poop is good. Go ahead.
So I have the Nationals, the A's, Reds, Royals, Marlins, Tigers, and Pirates. I finally gave way to the Marlins and put them down in the poop tier. Like you said, their saving grace has been Jazz Chisholm and Sandy Alcantara, and he even got lit up the other day, unfortunately, for that guy.
Yeah.
It's like it finally caught up to him. But I'm sure he'll still win the Cy Young Award in the National League. The Nats have just been awful, but the worst team all year. The A's have just been the bottom feeders of the West. The Reds showed some promise there for a little while, but they're back to being the Reds right now, just giving up dingers and not hitting many. The Royals have been bad all year, and the Tigers have just been terrible, that's been my biggest disappointment this year is the Tigers. They played so well at the end of the season last year, and they made some legitimate moves in the offseason, right?
Yeah,
they brought in Javi Baez and I can't remember who their catcher was anymore because they ended up sending him back down. They had a rookie catcher who was highly touted.
Catcher. Yeah.
And they ended up sending him back down to Triple H because he wasn't panning out. He wasn't performing. And, he still got next year, but at the same time. So the Tigers have just been such a huge disappointment this year for me. So
I agree.
That's my poop tier as of September the 5th. What do you have, Brig?
All right. So my poop tier looks very similar, just bloated, because these aren't just teams. These aren't just teams that I'm disappointed in, like I mentioned earlier. These are teams that I have given up on. I wish I cared, but I don't. They're getting flushed. That's where we're at. So the Nats fit that category. The Red Sox fit that category. The A's, Reds, Royals, Angels, Cubs, Tigers, Rockies, Pirates. And this, it coincidentally has to do with like being 27 games back in their division and stuff like that. Like I just have, but they also, most of these teams don't have a lot of excitement happening on them. The Angels are an exception.
Right.
I think the Red Sox are an exception occasionally with some of the players they have there, like Devers, Rafael Devers, and
Xander Bogaerts. And Trevor Story's playing a little bit better lately.
You're right. Yeah.
But the fact that they aren't winning, though.
Yeah, they can't pull it together. And so I don't know what's going on there, but anyway, just interesting. But then
the Pirates, they're saving
Pittsburgh has O'Neal Cruz. And,
sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Same thing. Get out of my head, Brad.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I just let you talk.
It's okay. But that's it. They got a flash in the pan here. They got somebody they can build the franchise around there. The end. They got the Red Sox have a bunch of players that are going to be due up in free agency at the end of the season. That'll be interesting to watch. So
yeah,
I know I am concerned for every one of these franchises. The A's have updated us on their waterfront property. And you know what the biggest issue is? This is hilarious. I'll just touch on this really quick. The biggest issue with the A's remaining in Oakland, they've got to work up like a full CAD produced drawing and everything of what it's supposed to look like and all that. And the biggest issue is wind. Wind is the biggest issue on the table right now. It has to do with
who cares
what will happen to air currents and jet streams and how that will affect whatever else it'll affect in the rest of the bay and across Oakland, et cetera, and shipping and whatever.
Wow.
But right now they're
really
hung up on wind and how the stadium will impact the wind. It's hilarious.
I can see that for the city. I thought it was for the stadium. I was like, who cares? Chicago has 2 baseball teams. Get over it.
Yeah, no.
If it's not the rest of the city, okay.
It's how it affects, broadly. It has nothing to do with baseball. So, anyway,
so funny.
There's your quick update on what's going on in Oakland / Vegas.
/ Vegas, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Well, those are the emoji tiers. Let us know what you think about those, how we did. If you have any disagreements with us, be sure to let us know. You can jump in the mailbag on baseball.com and send us an email. There's a link in the navigation up top there for you. You can always find it. You can also find that in a link in the description and show notes for every single episode of the podcast. Brig, tell them about the shop.
Don't forget to jump on the shop at 9plusus.com. It's NINEPLUSUS.com, 9plusus.com. Fall ball season is here. You can rep your kids' favorite or your kids' team's colors without repping that team if you really feel strongly about it like we do. And then don't forget Christmas is coming up as well. So you can get yourself something nice there. Get your baseball family member or the fan in your family something from 9plusus.com. And yeah,
there you go. And if you like what we're doing with the show, you can like, subscribe, rate, and review. You can follow us on YouTube. If you've watched the show there, make sure you subscribe and give us a like there. If you listen somewhere else, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Also, if you really like what we're doing, you can support the show over on Patreon. We always talk about Brig's Bougie Coffee. You can support the show for less than what it costs for Brig to buy a cup of coffee and that's just once a month, not even like 2 or 3 times a week. However, Brig gets his bougie coffee. So head on over to Patreon, and you can support the show there. You can help us get some projects off the ground that we want to do to help bring you awesome and super fun content. Again, $5, $10, $15 tiers there. Whatever you would like, plus bonuses in the bullpen cut. But baseball family, thank you again for joining us. We are getting down the home stretch for sure. Playoff pushes are coming, and it's very exciting. And we will catch you next week.